Hey, what's going on, Ram fans? Talking about this Rams loss to the Miami Dolphins, Monday Night Football, Dolphins 23, Rams 15. Paul Wally, you can't join us tonight, late night out there on the East Coast, but I got Ian here. Ian, so you were at the game, and I'm watching this game unfold, and I just get this sinking feeling as the game progresses that something's just off with our offense. Something's missing. Something's not clicking, and it's not going to end well. And I guess I was right. Is that kind of how you felt watching the game too?
Yeah, Mark. Yeah, Rams Nation. Look it. I picked the Rams to lose in our roundtable get together a couple days ago. I did not feel good about our team with the extra rest. I did not feel good about the Dolphins being a talented team whose record does not match the type of players that they have, the type of defense that they have, the type of speed and skill they had on the offensive side of the ball. So I picked the Dolphins to upset the Rams. I said 34-31, 35-31 if my memory serves correctly. But I thought it would be a shootout, not in this low scoring affair where the Rams offense was just straight up sorry. Freaking sorry. So I did not expect that. Yes, I was at the game. Yes, the crowd was good, but other than a couple good defensive plays and some other defensive stops, there was not a lot to cheer for offensively. It was just a pitiful ass performance. What a letdown it was to see in person. And I'm sure anyone else who was there, let us know in the comments if you were there and how you felt. But it was just not good offensively. And what a bummer. What a letdown this was. And to further put the team in a hole to try to dig out of, maybe win a division. I don't know if that's possible now. Maybe get a playoff spot if they rally some wins. But the way they look today with an almost fully healthy offensive team and a fully team in general for the most part, pitiful. Sorry, whatever word you want to call it. Ugh.
Yeah, and it wasn't so much. I mean, obviously the offense wasn't clicking, and
Yeah.
actually the Miami Dolphins offense wasn't really that impressive either. We just couldn't close the deal when we did have opportunities. We kept on shooting ourselves in the foot, and McVay called it out in the first half, and it kept on happening in the second half. There were just blunders and mistakes over and over and over again. And, the offensive line did not play well. And you and I talked about it before the game. Havenstein goes out and you get two other guys back. So you're going to put in Joseph Noteboom at right tackle. Really no choice. But is it wise to insert two other guys into the lineup at the same time? I know, granted, they were starters, yeah, but it just didn't seem. I questioned that decision, and I think maybe that was a wrong move. Maybe they should have just left Limmer at center, put Avila at left guard, roll with Noteboom. Not such a big change for the offensive line, and it showed. The offensive line didn't play well. This is a Dolphins team that came in, I think, last in the league in sacks, and we couldn't protect Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, pathetic. Pathetic. I don't care if it's, hey, they haven't played football in a while. For them to be this bad, and look I'm tired of Joseph Noteboom. I'm just gonna put that out there. I'm tired of it. We paid him a lot to be the future left tackle. He got beat up by a lark. Hey, best man wins, so be it. But in his spot starts, excuse me, he's either playing good or getting hurt, right? It's either he's playing good and then he's out because of something happened, or he's in there and he just is flat out not good enough. Not good enough. And today was that version. Out there, no injuries, but just flat out not good enough. And let's just be honest, it was bad. It was a bad performance. And again, I was watching it with my own two eyes from my spot in the stands in the stadium at SoFi tonight. I will watch the film, and everyone out there, I will have a film breakdown in the next couple of days. I will try to crank that out as soon as possible because I know we're a day later than the Sunday game. It's already a Monday night. But I'll watch the film and I'll have something to say about the O line in general in our next roundtable and in that film breakdown video. But he was awful, just with my own two eyes. Steve Avi looked bad. Just my own two eyes. Didn't look good. Wasn't impressive. Again, I was not watching the TV broadcast. I was there in person. So again, could have been better. Maybe watching it on the screen, but my own two eyes wasn't impressive. And I'm Jonah Jackson. He's not a freaking center, everyone. The Rams wanted to screw around with that whole setup all throughout the offseason training camp. And at the last moment, a week or so before the regular season game against Detroit week one, they're like, oh, you know what? We like Jonah better at center, and Steve's actually a better guard. Okay, fine. But, Avila gets hurt going into the half. And then, we don't see Jonah really anymore at center. He gets bumped over. Then Limmer comes in. And I got to say this. I said it before the game to you. I put some Twitter, X posts, tweets, whatever you want to call it out. And when the news was reported by Rappaport, Schefter, and whoever else is that Avila and Jackson were being activated for this game, I said, hey, great news in theory. But Limmer's been so freaking good this season. Bo Limmer, what round was it? 6th-round pick, 5th-round pick? I think 6th round, right? If my memory serves correctly.
Yeah.
And he's been fantastic. The film doesn't lie. He's a Pro Bowl level center right now and borderline all pro. I mean, I know Creed Humphrey gets that, and he's a great player for the Chiefs, and maybe some others I just can't think of, but he's in that conversation the way he's played thus far every game. And to yank him out and for Jonah Jackson to just lay a freaking just sorry ass egg today. Bad snaps, wasn't impressed in his movement, wasn't impressed in his pass blocking. Again, I watched the film. I'll get a better idea once I see the full picture and I can really rewind and zone in on individual players. But he's not a freaking center. I'm sorry. I know he wanted to proclaim that he is a center at heart, right? When they said that move was happening, when he said to our reporters and to our media people in the offseason before he got hurt, and that he can play anywhere in the interior or anywhere in the old line. I mean, that's great, but Bo Limmer wouldn't have snapped that stupid ass ball way over Stafford's head. Bo Limmer would be blocking a lot better than he did tonight. Bo Limmer would be in sync with Matthew and the old line as a whole, whether Avila was in or Didich or whoever. He would have played much better. He has weeks of cohesion and chemistry with the starting group. So they obviously look at the Rams took a risk, right? Saying, hey, we have our big free agent, a former Pro Bowler. Hey, we have Steve Avila, a Pro Bowl level guard. And they just wet the bed, including Joe Noteboom. Sorry play yet again. And it led to them just laying an egg on offense. And yeah, was Stafford not on point on certain plays? Yes, that is 100% true. But you know what's also a big problem? And I always say this every now and then, that we got the McVay special majority of this game too. Pass, 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 and abandon the freaking run. And this is the formula to lose games. And we say it on here every time there's a loss. It's the same stuff, Rams Nation. Abandon the run, pass, pass, pass. Set up your backup O lineman to have to react to defenders, pass block, instead of attack defenders, run block, and you set them up for failure. So you had 2 linemen who haven't played in months, actually 3 linemen who haven't played in months. One's a borderline starter backup, 2 are rusty, and you set this team up for failure with so many pass plays against the Dolphins defense, who their strength is defending the pass with a Ramsey, with Holland in the backfield, with a Poyer back there, with whoever I'm blanking on in the back end who can play some football. That is the strength, and we set ourselves up for failure. And on top of that, the guys up front didn't play good. What a disastrous formula that was, Mark Rams Nation. So I know I ranted on a little bit there, but pitiful. Just a pitiful
Yeah.
game plan, pitiful execution, and then you get stinkers like this against a team you should have clearly smoked with how they played. And respect to the defense, 2 turnovers, both in their territory, and you don't get Jack Tilley squat. Embarrassing. And again, I tip my imaginary cap to the defense for doing enough. And I was worried the whole night that they would give up some really big explosive to a Jalen Waddle, to a Tyreek, to an Achane, to a Mostert. And that really didn't happen, other than a couple blunders on 3rd down would still irritate me. But overall, they did plenty for this Rams team to win the game. So, I mean, what a fat F this was. O-line, game plan, just terrible.
Yeah, you would have liked what Troy Aikman had to say on that very subject. I know you missed
What did
the
he say? Let
broadcast.
me hear it. Yeah.
He was talking about offensive linemen and how when you ask them to pass block over and over and over again, they're going up against
Yeah,
much
dude.
more athletic freaks down after down, and it's difficult, it's challenging, and they generally do not like to do it. And you start pounding the rock, and they just love, bulldozing and just busting out holes for the running backs, and that's what they love to do. And I can't remember if he was speaking to the Rams at the moment, but just a general statement he made about the nature of offensive linemen and what they like to do. And he sounded like you and Paul, like he had been listening to you guys. So
Well, well, shit, Mark. I mean, it's really simple. I mean, whether you're a Hall of Fame player or a legendary broadcaster like Troy Aikman, or your fans like us and Paul and whoever else has two eyes and a brain, it's it's really simple. Terrible game plan, terrible execution when you did decide to pass. So, shout out to Troy Aikman for pointing out that nonsense that was going on in this game because the McVay special we got. And I say it, there's always a couple games, at least two or more games where uh, McVay will have just a crappy game plan or I can't even speak because it's just irritating me. A crappy play calling day where he's going to cost us a loss or the offensive unit will cost us a loss. And today was one of those days. And
yeah, that's
Rams Nation, the last time an LA team has beat the Miami Dolphins was this background in my picture here, 1976. I mean, just embarrassing. Like they just can't do it. So I digress.
Yeah,
So
and it's kind of irritating as well. The headlines are the Miami Dolphins defense, stepped up and won this game. And I would argue, except for a couple plays, the Rams defense was the best unit on the field tonight. They were
yeah,
outstanding
clearly.
against the run. They get that first drive and that Jonu Smith um, pass to Johnny Smith down to like the half-yard line. Some
Yeah.
really poor tackling, but other than that, they shut down Achan.
Yeah.
They were flustering Tua the entire game, and a really great. If there's anything to be happy coming out of this game, there's a couple of things. I'll get to them in a minute, but
Yeah.
our defense was rock solid for the most part.
Yeah, they were. And eventually, the Dolphins were smart enough to adjust their game plan and say, okay, we're not doing any long developing passes. We're doing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 Mississippi seconds, and two, you better get rid of that thing, which is why they were able to get some drives going. But they did plenty. Two turnovers. Roseman had a great pick. The stadium was on fire when he pulled that off. Versus strip sack and recovery, or whatever that kind of. I mean, I know he had some good plays in the backfield, but when he had a turnover and then Kyron to fumble it. Let's just be real. I love Kyron Williams, but he fumbles more often than an all-pro running back should, and that's not good. A Pro Bowl running back should not be fumbling at the rate he does. Now, is it a lot? I don't know. We have to compare stats, and I'm sure we'll investigate that before we get together again, and we can discuss all these things more in depth, other than just a reaction. But there's every couple of games or so, Kyron will put that thing on the turf, and that's just no bueno. So that was a killer. But before I get into other negatives about the offense and other dumb stuff, but the defense did plenty. They held an explosive, one of the fastest teams in the NFL. They held them in check for the most part. And what more could you ask for when your team is just missing field goals, punting a bunch, having to kick field goals? I mean, they can only hang on so far. And they did enough to win. And what a shock! Another season where everyone in the Rams front office and the team proclaimed that the offense was going to be the strong suit, but yet the defense is again having to carry us. At this point in the season, 2 years in a row. It's just shitty. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was one of those people that I thought this team was just going to be putting up 30 points
Yeah,
week in and week out, and the
yeah,
defense is going to have to hang on, hang on for their life. Hey,
yeah,
let's real quickly just go down these blunders the things
yeah.
that went wrong. We talked about them already. That bad snap, Jonah
Terrible.
Jackson. And then a kind of ironic Bo Limmer is the one that commits the penalty to push him
Yeah,
back after they made the 52-yarder.
of
And
course.
then a bunch of missed tackles on that Jonas Smith catch and run. That 3rd and 19 conversion, you already talked about it,
Terrible.
led
Yeah.
to a Miami field goal. And then Stafford misses Kyron for,
And
and that
real
was a,
quick, go ahead.
go
No,
ahead.
say what you got to say on that. No,
No,
go
I was
ahead.
just going to say that pass to Kyron, they scored on that play earlier in the year. I forget which game it was, a critical touchdown.
Yeah.
It might have been, it was the 49ers, I
Vikings,
think. It might have, yeah.
Vikings, 49ers. He scored on that Texas angle route, whatever word you want to call it. It's like an outside. It's like a slant
Yeah.
for the running back out of the backfield. Yeah.
And I still can't, I watched it. Well, I have a picture of it here. I'm still not sure who, this is courtesy of our friend Roberto Clemente on Twitter. You can see
Yeah.
Kyron there. I don't know who Stafford was actually thrown to. I think that's Puka breaking out in the end zone. I don't know
Yeah.
what was going on there.
Look, at Stafford was getting harassed and hit, more than he has been, in a while. And we have to be honest, man. When pressure is getting to a quarterback consistently and often, and he's getting hit or sacked or any of the three, sacked, hit, pressured, it affects the clock in your head and it affects the way you play. We got to be honest. I mean, we did it to Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold didn't play bad, but he wasn't on one. We've done it to Geno Smith and made his throws be quick and easy, which is why we got interceptions the last game. We can go down the list of quarterbacks throughout history and Rams, McVay history where we've affected the opposing quarterback and things have turned our way. Well, today was the opposite, right? We were on the bad end of that where Stafford was getting harassed and hit. So I think on that play where everyone's pissed about him missing Kyron, I think his clock was sped up and he was like, I'm going to get smacked if I don't get rid of this, which in that TV screenshot and that TV broadcast, the pressure maybe didn't look as vast, but from my viewpoint from the Rams sideline on a play, I mean, people were closing in on him pretty dang fast, and Alark was going to give up a QB hit, pressure, or sack on that from my viewpoint on that play. So Stafford's internal clock was like, I can't hold on to it. I got to get rid of it, or at least not turn it over, and something bad happens. So, when your quarterback's getting smacked around a majority of the game, you get bad plays like that where he's rushed, he feels rushed, and you get stuff like that. And any quarterback any week can fall victim to that. So, but it's unfortunate. But yeah, just shitty. I don't know, the offensive performance was just shitty. I don't know what to
Yeah.
say. And real quick, while we're on that subject, I mean, Colby Parkinson, from my eyes, I don't know any of the word on the street. I don't know nothing. I mean, he's benched, right? Is that what happened? Because I know he didn't
Yeah.
play much at all this game, from
I
my
saw his
viewpoint.
number a couple of times. He was probably out there for a handful of snaps, but it was Davis Allen's show. Hunter Long was
Yep,
out there a little bit.
yep,
And yeah, it looks like they've moved on to Davis Allen at this point. And Davis
yeah,
Allen, I think Davis Allen, certainly was getting open. He was catching the ball. He doesn't seem like he's the type of tight end that's going to do a lot of yards after catch, though, from what I've seen.
yeah.
But um,
No, I mean, I guess that's what happened. That's what my viewpoint. I was like, he's on the sideline a bunch. He's not anything. Doesn't look like anything's wrong with him. And he's been a disappointment. Jonah Jackson, I've been unimpressed in 3 games he's played. Obviously, you can argue that he was injured in the Cardinal game and battled through it. Okay, Lions game, not impressed. This game was bad in my opinion. Uh, Colby Parkinson has been whatever. I mean, obviously he's had some games where he's like made some good third down catches, but he's been unimpressive for him being a big human, tall human. His run blocking hasn't been as impressive as Seattle days. And then Trey White gets traded away and benched. So the top 3 free agent signings that this team made, we gave them, F's or C's on the bye week roundtable we did when we were grading all this, but what a disaster. When your top 3 guys are not coming through, I mean, you get seasons like this where you're 4-5 now, which is, season ain't over. There's still a lot of game to play, but, this team could have more stinkers easily, and I'm worried about next week. I mean, we'll talk about that eventually, but, oy, Colby Parkinson, what a fat F that was of a signing.
Yeah, I'll go back to these stats here. And the one thing we have to remember is, as pitiful as it was, if they had just closed out a couple of those drives in the second
Yep.
half, they still come away with a win. So maybe the red zone offense is the biggest takeaway from this, that it's not working. Obviously the offense in the first half wasn't very productive, kind of like what happened in Seattle, right? In the second half, they were actually moving the ball. They were going a little bit up tempo, I think, and then they just couldn't. They couldn't cash in
Yeah.
field goal attempts, and it's
Yeah.
just not
You
going to
know,
work.
it's McVay's lack of using 2-2 to stretch the field is just puzzling every season. Puzzling. McVay's lack of diverse run plays every now and then. I know the duo is the talk of the town the last couple years, but there's other run plays like traps and counters and whams, which we do a lot of whams, but I didn't see really hardly any today. Maybe a couple off the top of my head. There's inside zone, there's outside zone, there's power, there's G power, there's blast. I mean, we have no diversity every week by week. There's some weeks I like it. There's some weeks I'm like, does Sean know any other run plays other than the same freaking three or four or five if we're lucky? It's just really irritating. This new wave of offense where everything has to be through the pass is just really freaking irritating, and it's just puzzling when you just set your team up for failure, having rusty starters come back in, a rusty backup fringe starter come back in, and like Troy Aikman and we say, attack instead of react for your linemen. And I'm just so over it of this McVay's every other game just having a dumb game plan and just undiverse game plans. It's just irritating. I'm glad he's our coach. But he's got a lot of blemishes and whatever else you want to say, and it leads to games like this. And I'm sure we'll probably get another one or two throughout this season where it's going to be like, oh, McVay special, pass, 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 abandon the run, or it's the same couple runs if we do run it. Ugh, shitty.
Yeah, and there's there are a few things to be happy about though.
Yeah, yeah.
This defense is moving in the right direction for sure.
Yes.
Um, I think Bobby Brown continues to play well.
Hmm.
He had a couple splash plays,
Other than that dumbass shove he had, I know I saw that in person, and
right?
they had to replay on the board. I mean, it's all. I mean, I don't know why. I mean, we learned this when we are freaking 6, 7 years old, and it has nothing to do with sports. The second person always gets caught. Puka
Right.
got caught last week. Bobby Brown caught this week. And again, I know the Dolphins O lineman, I don't know who it was, had that ridiculous flop, and he sold it good, and he got the penalty. That was his objective. So kudos to you, you loser. But um, it's always the second person. I mean, McVay's got to have a talk with his guys. Be like, keep your shit together. These things are causing us to be stressed and possibly lose games. And yeah. But I'll give him his credit. He's been playing much better than he was at the beginning of the year, where he was not playing good at all. So, like,
Yeah, according to the broadcast, that was his first penalty ever. Kind of interesting.
really
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Hmm. Not a
And
good one to
our
start off with, but all
I know,
right.
I know. And our run defense has been, considering what we were getting gashed early in the year. Remember
Yeah,
the Lions, the Bears.
yeah,
This run defense is pretty darn stout. I think Achan had one run of like 12 or 14 yards. We held them
yeah,
to an average. They rushed for a 3.0 average. So
yeah.
got to be happy about that. And
And real quick to that point, I mean, it is Bobby Brown playing much better. He has a large portion to do with that, him being a nose tackle, right? You're the center D lineman up against the O line, so you'll control a lot. If you can bully and cause a pile at the center spot, then everything else gets jacked up. Or can you move the center or the guard? So he's been doing much better. And then just be honest, Omar Spates and Roseboom's the better duo at linebacker. I mean, Roseboom's been playing much, much better with him and Omar together, and I think. That's got to be the group moving forward, despite, Reader's hamstring health when he comes back in a couple of weeks or so. I mean, it has to be, if the Rams don't give a damn, then they'll put him back in and the season's really toast. But I think that, Roseboom's play, Omar being inserted, and then Bobby Brown playing much better has significant impacts on the run game, and it allows everyone else to be more freed up there too. So that is a positive, and just wish he wasn't Just wish he didn't have that penalty.
Yeah, I think the Rams are certainly more comfortable with Omar out there now. They've seen enough
Yeah.
of him that I'm pretty sure, I don't have the stats in front of me. I think he led the team
Yeah.
in tackles.
Hmm.
So he was out there a lot. And he had a couple good plays. Had a couple. He was involved in that Jonu Smith, the big catch and run. He
Yeah.
kind of misplayed that a little bit, but
Yeah.
that's going to happen. I think overall they must be happy with his contributions because he seems to be getting more and more snaps.
Yeah.
But and the other thing to be positive about here, this division is really up for grabs, and the Cardinals will go on a bye now. The Rams go to New England. We have to, if we're going to talk about the Rams' chances of making the playoffs, we're going to have to. They have to win that game. They have to beat the Patriots, and let's for a moment deduce that they do beat the Patriots. And if the Seahawks were to beat the 49ers, you'd have the Cardinals atop of the division 6-4 and everybody else at 5-5. At worst case, if the Rams beat the Patriots, worst case is they're one game out of first place. It's a matter of whether they're behind one team or two teams. So it's still there for them if they get a few things figured out. The defense is on the right trajectory. The offense is on the wrong trajectory. And the other thing that we can be happy about, although Cardi missed the 57-yarder after the penalty, he did make two 50-plus yard field goals, and he looked really
Yeah.
confident.
Yeah.
Solid kicks, drilled them.
Yes. Yes.
So
He
feeling
looked
better
good in
about
pregame
that.
warmups too, and I had put a tweet post out there on X Twitter saying, "Hey, he was making a lot of all his field goal, pregame warm up reps with the field goal unit." So I mean, he's got a leg. Obviously he had some blunders in the past, and luckily it didn't cost us any games at that point. The Raider game, we were holding our breath, but he came through today. Obviously, we would like to see the 57-yarder, but penalties screwed it. He would have made the 52 previously. So that is a positive. And yes, Rams Nation, I know I've been pretty negative, but when you just have a piss poor game plan and O line performance, I'm going to be in a pissy mood myself. So there is some positive. D line, defense held on, did enough to win. Cardi kicking long, making clean field goals, good. But, that doesn't matter if one side lays an egg severely like the offense did in the offensive line and McVay's game plan and play calling. But let's do this right now, real quick, Mark. So they're at 4 wins. I've been on record saying they need to get to 10 again in the tournament, and I don't even know if that wins the division. Maybe it does, but I feel like if they don't get to 10 wins, regardless they win the division or not, like they're not going to be in the tournament. So let's go through it. So we're in week 11 next week against the Patriots, who in my original schedule release prediction, I had them laying an egg in that game. And again, I think that was what assuming health was going to be key. So I'm severely worried about that game. I think that defense, led by Gerard Mayo, is way better playing right now than the Miami Dolphins, who held us in check for the most part. So I'm worried about that game. Drake May can run. He's super athletic. I mean, he'll screw us in with his scrambling abilities. So I'm worried about that. Eagle game, they're ultra talented. Maybe their head coach screws it up, but we can't beat the Eagles either in team history for whatever reason.
Right.
So I mean, I'll be at that game Sunday night. I'm worried about that. New Orleans Saints have the interim head coach, bedazzling energy right now where, players step up and start playing harder because they realize people's jobs are on the line and their own jobs are on the line. So that's a game in New Orleans. That's a tough environment. That ain't a win with the defense that got a lot of talent, even though I know Marshawn Lattimore's not there. Buffalo Bills, we can't beat the Bills with Josh Allen. They're an ultra talented team. I don't feel good about that. We got the Niners where they screwed it up and we took advantage of it. We got to play them on the Thursday game in San Fran with now a McCaffrey led team that's going to be a little bit healthier and people are coming back. I don't like that matchup. New York Jets, they're a dumpster fire, but who knows? Maybe by then they get their act together and they're not playing stupid football in New York late in the year. Could be bad weather, could be rainy, wet. I don't like that for our West Coast style team. Then we got to play the Cardinals here in LA. That's beneficial, but they're a team playing good football who's kicked our ass at the beginning of the year. And then a Seattle team who, they screwed it up and we took advantage of it. We got to play them. I mean, this schedule is not easy. I don't care what anybody says. This is a brutal schedule going forward with everyone I just laid out there for you, with defenses who can compete with our offense. teams whose offenses have skill sets that we do not defend well. I mean, this thing could snowball really, really fast, Mark, Rams Nation out there. So if this team doesn't get their damn act together offensively and figure out how to score touchdowns, this team's what, a bottom three team in the red zone in terms of efficiency? Pathetic. And if this team doesn't figure these things out, I mean, this could be, another 6-7 win max season where we look back and say, you know what, despite the injuries, this team actually wasn't really that good at all. And that's disappointing to say, but oy, oy, oy. When you have a stuff like today, it's obviously I'm going dark, I'm going black hole, world Rams ending scenario here. But we play tough teams this next, couple months, and none of these games are going to be easy. None of them. So they better get their act together, and people better be pissed, and coaches better have better game plans going forward, or this season's going to be a disaster very, very fast.
Yeah, I think what's most frustrating about it is I'm watching that game and we can't, for the life of me, get it into the end zone. And we got what's
Yep.
supposed to be, what should be a good offensive line. We have Kyron Williams, who's a touchdown maker. We
Yeah.
got Cooper Cup and Puka Nakua, and we have Demarcus Robinson, who's had 4 TDs in the last 2 games. And we really didn't even have a sniff at the end zone once we got inside the 26. It was just kind of, I just did not have a good feeling, no confidence at all
Yeah.
in this team's ability to score.
Yeah.
So kind of disheartening.
Very
But
disheartening. Very disheartening. But, you know, I mean, soul searching has to happen, or, I know people out there, and I have these conversations with Rams Nation at the games, or our Rams Nation who participates on Twitter X, and we have fun conversations there about anything Rams related. I see a lot of comments saying, "Why don't the Rams crowd show up?" Well, when you have some shit performances on offense like this, why are people going to spend hard-earned cash to come out and see that? And that's a fair point. You could disagree with it or agree with that all you want, but when a team has had offensive struggles the last 3 years, let's just be honest, since the 2022 disaster campaign, there's just been a lot of just awful, awful offensive performances led by McVay, no matter who the coordinator is and the quarterback is. And at a certain point, they got to figure this out. If they want this thing to be sustained and fan bases or the Rams fan base to pull up no matter what, like other cities, I mean, they got to just be coherent and capable on offense. But it's been 3 seasons now where the offense is just, there's just too many games in a season where they just flat out suck. And
yeah,
it starts with Sean McVay, because no matter who the quarterback is, I mean, we've seen the good and bad from all of it. But for this team to be that many starters back and just lay an egg, I mean, unacceptable. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, we'll get into it more at the round table, and I think your film study will
Oh
probably
yeah, that'll tell a lot.
elaborate a lot, and maybe you'll
Hmm.
find out some things for us.
Yep.
Um, Go check it out for us, Ian, and report back to us. Help us understand what the heck is going on with this Rams offense. Man,
Well, we
it's
said a bunch
crazy.
today. I think, I mean, for God's sakes, could someone get on the phone with McVay, on his downtime and be like, "Hey, bro, run the ball in the red zone. Run the ball with your backup linemen who are rusty. Hey, maybe don't pass all the time when you have rusty old linemen. Hey, have better clock management. Just the simple shit I think anyone could tell him outside of diving into the film. So hopefully someone has
Yeah,
that conversation with him soon, because I'm getting tired of it. And I love McVay, but damn, dude.
yeah. Okay, I'll sync up with you and Paul. We'll figure out when we're going to do the round table since it is
Yeah,
already Monday. Maybe we'll do
crazy.
it Wednesday. Maybe we'll do it Thursday. Hey, before we sign off, I real quickly wanted to give a shout out to John Robinson who passed away. That was
Yeah,
probably before your time, Ian. But he was a legend in the LA area, really between
yeah.
USC and the
USC.
Rams, and he was a great coach. You want to coach if you like a coach that doesn't mind running the rock, you'd love John Robinson. I'm not going to talk a lot about him. I just wanted to mention that he did pass, and condolences to his family. And I think we'll we'll save it for Paul. Paul will be really good at talking about John Robinson and his career
Yeah.
as a Rams coach. So we'll do that during the
What a
roundtable, I'm
crappy
sure.
day today was. What the hell,
I know,
man?
I know.
His passing before the game. I mean, shout out to the Rams. They had a nice little, little tribute and a moment of silence for him before the game kicked off. But that just a fat L by the offense. What a crappy day for Rams
Yeah,
football.
yeah, and it would have been great with the way Verse and Byron Young and Kobe Turner were playing and Bobby Brown. It was
I know.
really a signature game for them. It really was. I mean, on national television, and Troy Aikman, to his credit, talked a lot about these young Ram defenders and how good they are. And anyone that hasn't seen these guys play across the country. First time seeing these Rams defenders play, we're like, holy crap,
Yeah.
this Rams defense is on the rise. And
Yes,
then
they are.
our offense just kind of lays a turd.
Think about it. Detroit overtime loss. They did enough to win the game. Rams offense couldn't close it out. Cardinals was a disaster, but Chicago Bears week whatever 3 that was. They did. I mean, there were some bad moments and we highlighted them, but they did plenty for the offense to get a chance to win that game. The offense couldn't pull through. The Packer game did plenty on defense for them to win that game. Got stops, turnovers, pick six, all that. Rams offense couldn't come through to seal the deal. This game, Rams defense did enough to seal the deal and win it, but the Rams offense couldn't keep up their part. I mean, this young defense been some really bad moments, and we've been very critical of those bad moments. But now that we're over the halfway point, now going into the second half, I mean, they've done plenty for this team to have a really good
You
record, and the
know?
Rams offense is just shit the bed. That's simple as
Yeah,
that.
crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, man. I think we've beat it to death for
Yeah, we
now.
have. I know. Jeez.
But we'll talk more about it. Have
Yeah.
some more thoughts on this at the round table. Thanks a lot for staying up late, Ian, getting home from the game and joining me. Really appreciate it. And
Yes, sir.
yeah, we'll do it again soon. Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, you're welcome. Shout out to everyone on YouTube, podcast, wherever you're listening in. Like, subscribe, share the pod, share the channel with your friends, any football fans, and stay tuned. We'll have the Orchestrated Rams film breakdown soon, and then we'll have the roundtable recap, and then we'll we got to move on, just like the players and coaches, and on to New England. I guess like Belichick would like to say, right? We're on to Cincinnati. We're on to New England. Us too, though.
Okay, man. Thanks a lot. Out here.
Peace.